This story about Lord Śiva and his wife Satī, who later on became Parvati, is from the Srimad Bhagavatam 4th canto and therefore 100% accurate. Satī's father, Dakṣa, who was so affectionate towards his daughter, was envious of Lord Śiva. There was great yajna ceremony where great sages, philosophers, demigods assembled with their followers. When Dakṣa, the leader of the Prajāpatis, entered that assembly, his personal bodily luster as bright as the effulgence of the sun, the entire assembly was illuminated, and all the assembled personalities became insignificant in his presence. Influenced by his personal bodily luster, all the fire demigods and other participants in that great assembly, with the exceptions of Lord Brahma and Lord Śiva, gave up their own sitting places and stood in respect for Dakṣa. Dakṣa was adequately welcomed by the president of the great assembly, Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma was his father. After offering Lord Brahma respect, Dakṣa, by the order of Brahma, properly took his seat. But remember this from the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3 Chapter 12 texts 7-12. Lord Śiva came out of Lord Brahma's third eye. Lord Brahma was created by Lord Vishnu through his navel lotus flower. Lord Vishnu is an expansion of Lord Krishna. Lord Śiva has connection with the material nature, but Lord Vishnu, or Lord Krishna, is transcendental to material nature. The position of Lord Śiva is very beautiful, explained in Brahma Samhita, verse 45. Lord Brahma says,
"Just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, but yet the effect curd is neither same as, nor different from, its cause, viz. milk, so I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Lord Śiva is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction."
Also, another important information about Lord Śiva is that he took the form of Hanumanji to serve Lord Ram, who is Lord Krishna's another incarnation. Lord Śiva's wife, Satī, is originally Durga Devi, Lord Krishna's Yogamaya, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam Chapter 2 Text 7. Before taking his seat, Dakṣa was very much offended to see Lord Śiva sitting and not showing him any respect. That time, Dakṣa became greatly angry, and, his eyes glowing, he began to speak very strongly against Lord Śiva. As a result of Dakṣa's speaking cruelly, cursing and counter-cursing was going on between Lord Śiva's followers and the parties of Dakṣa. Lord Śiva became very morose. Even though Lord Śiva is very superior than Dakṣa, not saying anything, he left the arena of the sacrifice, followed by his disciples. Because Lord Brahma had appointed Dakṣa the chief of all the Prajāpatis, Dakṣa had become very much puffed up. It was not nice that Dakṣa behaved this way. Lord Śiva is way superior than Dakṣa. Lord Śiva is the greatest among the demigods. He is the greatest among the Vaishnava, meditating upon Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. One day Dakṣa performed another yajna ceremony. While the ceremony was being performed, many great sages and demigods, their wives all very nicely decorated with ornaments, attended from different parts of the universe. Chaste Lady Satī, the daughter of Dakṣa, heard the heavenly denizens flying in the sky conversing about the great sacrifice being performed by her father. When she saw that from all directions the beautiful wives of the heavenly denizens, their eyes very beautifully glittering, were near her residence and were going to the sacrifice dressed in fine clothing and ornamented with earrings and necklaces with lockets, she approached her husband in great anxiety and spoke as follows. "My dear Lord Śiva, your father-in-law is now executing great sacrifices, and all the demigods, having been invited by him, are going there. If you desire, we may also go. I think that all my sisters must have gone to this great sacrificial ceremony with their husbands just to see their relatives. I also desire to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father and go there with you to participate in that assembly. My sisters, my mother's sisters and their husbands, and other affectionate relatives must be assembled there. So if I go, I shall be able to see them, and I shall be able to see the flapping flags and the performance of the sacrifice by the great sages. For these reasons, my dear husband, I am very much anxious to go. Not only my relatives, but also other women, dressed in nice clothes and decorated with ornaments, are going there with their husbands and friends. Just see how their flocks of white airplanes have made the entire sky very beautiful. O best of the demigods, how can the body of a daughter remain undisturbed when she hears that some festive event is taking place in her father's house, even though you may be considering that I have not been invited? There is no harm if one goes to the house of one's friend, husband, spiritual master, or father without invitation. O immortal Shiva, please be kind towards me and fulfill my desire. You have accepted me as half of your body. Therefore, please show kindness towards me and accept my request. Lord Shiva replied smilingly, although at the same time he remembered the malicious, heart-piercing speeches delivered by Dakṣa.
My dear beautiful wife, you have said that one may go to a friend's house without being invited. And this is true, provided such a friend does not find fault with the guest because of bodily identification and thereby become angry towards him. Although the 6 qualities education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth and heritage are for the highly elevated, one who is proud of possessing them becomes blind, and thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of great personalities. One should not go to anyone's house, even on the consideration of his being a relative or a friend, when the man is disturbed in his mind and looks upon the guest with raised eyebrows and angry eyes. If one is hurt by the arrows of an enemy, one is not as aggrieved as when cut by the unkind words of a relative, for such grief continues to rend one's heart day and night. It is clear that of the many daughters of Dakṣa you are the pet, yet you will not be honored at his house because of your being my wife. One who is conducted by false ego and thus always distressed, both mentally and sensually, cannot tolerate the opulence of self-realized persons. Being unable to rise to the standard of self-realization, he envies such persons as much as demons envy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Certainly friends and relatives offer mutual greetings by standing up, welcoming one another and offering obeisances. But those who are elevated to the transcendental platform, being intelligent, offer such respects to the Supersoul, who is sitting within the body, not to the person who identifies with the body. I am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudeva in pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness, in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, is revealed without any covering.
Srimad Bhagavatam 4th Canto Test 23.
Therefore you should not see your father, although he is the giver of your body, because he and his followers are envious of me. Because of his envy, O most worshipful one, he has insulted me with cruel words, although I am innocent. If in spite of this instruction you decide to go, neglecting my words, the future will not be good for you. You are most respectable, and when you are insulted by your relative, this insult will immediately be equal to death.
Lord Śiva was silent after speaking to Satī, seeing her between decisions. Satī was very much anxious to see her relatives at her father's house, but at the same time she was afraid of Lord Shiva's warning. Her mind unsettled, she moved in and out of the room as a swing moves this way and that. Satī felt very sorry at being forbidden to go see her relatives at her father's house, and due to affection for them, tears fell from her eyes. Shaking and very much afflicted, she looked at her uncommon husband, Lord Śiva, as if she were going to blast him with her vision. Thereafter Satī left her husband, Lord Śiva, who had given her half his body due to affection. Breathing very heavily because of anger and bereavement, she went to the house of her father. When they saw Satī leaving alone very rapidly, thousands of Lord Shiva's disciples, headed by Mame and Mata, quickly followed her with his bull Nandi in front and accompanied by the yakas. The disciples of Lord Śiva arranged for Satī to be seated on the back of a bull and gave her the bird which was her pet. They bore a lotus flower, a mirror and all such paraphernalia for her enjoyment and covered her with a great canopy. Followed by a singing party with drums, conch shells and bugles, the entire procession was as pompous as a royal parade. Please stay tuned to see what happened next. Satī then reached her father's house, where the sacrifice was being performed, and entered the arena where everyone was chanting the Vedic hymns. The great sages, Brahmins, and demigods were all assembled there. When Satī, with her followers, reached the arena, because all the people assembled were afraid of Dakṣa, none of them received her well. No one welcomed her but her mother and sisters, who, with tears in their eyes and with glad faces, welcomed her and talked with her very pleasingly. Although she was received by her sisters and mother, she did not reply to their words of reception, and although she was offered a seat in presence, she did not accept anything, for her father neither talked with her nor welcomed her by asking about her welfare. Present in the arena of sacrifice, Satī saw that there were no oblations for her husband, Lord Śiva. Next she realized that not only had her father failed to invite Lord Śiva, but when he saw Lord Shiva's exalted wife, Dakṣa did not receive her either. Thus she became greatly angry, so much so that she looked at her father as if she were going to burn him with her eyes. "The blessed goddess," Satī said, "Lord Śiva is the most beloved of all living entities. He has no rival. No one is very dear to him, and no one is his enemy. No one but you could be envious of such a universal being, who is free from all enmity. Man like you can simply find fault in the qualities of others. Lord Śiva, however, not only finds no faults with others' qualities, but if someone has a little good quality, he magnifies it greatly. Unfortunately, you have found fault with such a great soul, since who have accepted the transient material body as the self to engage always in deriding great souls. Such envy on the part of materialistic persons is very good because that is the way they fall down. They are diminished by the dust of the feet of great personalities. My dear father, you are committing the greatest offense by envying Lord Śiva, whose very name, consisting of 2 syllables, Shi and Va, purifies one of all sinful activities. His order is never neglected. Lord Śiva is always pure and no one but you envies him. Great personalities like Brahma honor him by accepting the flowers offered to his lotus feet and placing them with great respect on their heads. If one hears an irresponsible person blaspheme the master and controller of religion, one should block his ears and go away if unable to punish him. Because of our family relationship, when Lord Śiva addresses me as Dakṣaini, I at once become morose, and my jolliness and my smile at once disappear. I feel very much sorry that my body, which is just like a bag, has been produced by you. I shall therefore give it up." While thus speaking to her father in the arena of sacrifice, Satī sat down on the ground and faced north. Dressed in saffron garments, she sanctified herself with water and closed her eyes to absorb herself in the process of mystic yoga. Satī, by meditation on the fiery elements, went on to become Parvati. More about Satī as Parvati will be explained later. She will come back with Lord Śiva as Parvati. By reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will notice that there was no mention of the body of Satī left behind. Lord Śiva will be found meditating. But in the meantime, before that happened, Lord Śiva, being extremely angry, pressed his lips with his teeth and immediately snatched from his head a strand of hair which blazed like electricity or fire, and dashed the hair to the ground. A fearful demon was thereby created.
"What shall I do, my lord?"
Because you are born from my body, you are the chief of all my associates. Therefore, kill Dakṣa and his soldiers at the sacrifice.
Then the big demon Virabhadra killed Dakṣa. Lord Brahma advised the priests and other members from the sacrificial arena to ask forgiveness and pray to Lord Śiva to take part in the sacrificial ceremony. After thus instructing all the demigods, the Pitas and the lords of the living entities, Lord Brahma took them with him and left for the abode of Lord Śiva, known as the Kailasa Hill. The demigods saw Lord Śiva sitting under that tree, which was competent to give perfection to mystic yogis and deliver all people. As grave as time eternal, he appeared to have given up all anger.
"My dear Lord Śiva, by your mercy the performer of the sacrifice, King Dakṣa, may get back his life. Please take your portion of the sacrifice and let the sacrifice be completed by your grace."
My dear father, Brahma, I do not mind the offenses created by the demigods. Because these demigods are childish and less intelligent, I do not take a serious view of their offenses, and I have punished them only in order to right them. Since the head of Dakṣa has already been burned to ashes, he will have the head of a goat.
King Dakṣa wanted to offer prayers to Lord Śiva, but as he remembered his daughter, Satī, his eyes filled with tears, and in bereavement his voice choked up and he could not say anything.
I did not know your full glories. For this reason, I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assembly, although you did not take them into account. I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectable personality, but you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words.
Thus being pardoned by Lord Śiva, King Dakṣa, with the permission of Lord Brahma, again began the performance of the yajna, along with the great learned sages, the priests and others. As soon as King Dakṣa offered the clarified butter with Yajur Veda mantras in sanctified meditation, Lord Vishnu appeared. According to Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 4 Chapter 7 Text 22-46, when Lord Vishnu appeared, his divine effulgence silenced all, and the demigods, including Brahma and Shiva, fell in awe, offering heartfelt prayers. Lord Vishnu's grace revealed his transcendental form, beyond material comprehension. Dakṣa praised Lord Vishnu as the master of sacrifices and free from material contamination, while the assembly prayed for liberation from life's endless struggles by surrendering to his lotus feet. Lord Śiva glorified Lord Vishnu's feet as the source of all blessings, and others praised him as the supersoul in all beings, the embodiment of sacrifice and the ultimate refuge. Vishnu, the supreme creator, maintainer, and destroyer, reminded Dakṣa of his unity with Brahma and Shiva. With the Lord's mercy, Dakṣa resumed the yajna, worshipped Vishnu, and restored peace to all. Lord Vishnu's presence brings liberation, devotion, and eternal bliss to all who surrender to him. Lord Vishnu explains to Dakṣa that he is the supreme personality of Godhead, acting through material energy to create, maintain, and dissolve the universe. He emphasizes that Brahma, Shiva, and all living beings are inseparable parts of him. True peace comes from realizing this unity. Inspired, Dakṣa completes his sacrifices, worships Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, and fulfills his duties, earning blessings from all present. This story purifies the soul and leads to liberation. Satī comes back as Parvati and reunites with Lord Śiva. This is how Parvati first saw Lord Śiva. One day, while Lord Śiva was deep in meditation on Mount Kailash, Parvati approached him, accompanied by her friends. She carried flowers and garlands to offer as a token of her devotion. Parvati's presence radiated grace, but Shiva remained immersed in his meditation upon Lord Krishna, undisturbed by the world around him. "O Lord, I bow to you. Please accept these humble offerings as a sign of my devotion." Lord Śiva remained silent, his eyes closed in deep meditation. Undeterred, Parvati resolved to serve Lord Śiva and assist him in his spiritual practices. She swept the ground, gathered fruits, and prepared offerings every day, hoping to catch his attention. Her selfless acts of devotion moved even the sages who lived nearby, but Lord Śiva continued to test her resolve by remaining aloof. Meanwhile, the demigods grew anxious. Without Shiva's union with Parvati, the demon Tarakasura, who had a boon to be slain only by Shiva's offspring, could not be defeated. They devised a plan to awaken love in Shiva's heart. Lord Kamadeva, the god of love, was summoned. Armed with his floral bow and arrows of desire, Kamadeva approached Shiva's meditative abode. As Kamadeva released his arrow, the energy of desire rippled through the air, momentarily breaking Shiva's trance. But in his anger at being disturbed, Shiva opened his third eye, reducing Kamadeva to ashes. However, this disruption allowed Shiva to notice Parvati's unwavering devotion. Shiva decided to test her one final time. Disguising himself as an old Brahmin, he approached her.
"O noble lady, why do you waste your youth and beauty pursuing a mere ascetic? Surely, you deserve better."
"O revered Brahmin, you may not see his greatness, but to me, he is the ultimate reality. My love for him is eternal and unshakable."
Your devotion has conquered even my heart, Parvati. I am honored to accept you as my eternal consort.
Shiva and Parvati were wed. Their union symbolized the perfect harmony of asceticism and grace. They eventually had a son named Kartikeya who defeated the demon Tarakasura. They had another son, Ganeshi, too. Thus, the story of Shiva and Parvati stands as an eternal testament to the power of devotion, perseverance, and divine love.